This is Fred Beck and Frederick's Fighting, proudly sponsored by Empire Fight Storage. Today I'm very lucky, joined by over Zoom all the way from Tennessee, Mams Taylor. Mams, it's nice to see you, mate. How you been?
Good, good. Nice to see you too. You're doing some good work.
Well, you've seen some of my interviews.
I have. I mean, I wouldn't just let anyone interview me.
Wow, I thought it's sick.
Yeah, I like to sort of stay. I know I like to troll a little bit on Twitter and on Insta, but on the whole, I like to be behind the scenes and just do my work, you know. But I think I'm really impressed, and I think you've got a really bright future ahead of you. So
Wow.
it's yeah,
Well,
yeah.
thank you, man. That means a lot, especially coming from you. But even if you troll people on Twitter, is that not like take a lot of effort out of your day trolling people
I,
on Twitter? Oh,
I honest, I got to tell you, I work abnormal hours in terms of abnormally long hours. I work all the time. So I I basically I love what I do, which is why I work so much, you know, but I'm definitely a workaholic. So I see it as part of the work. And I see it as kind of a break at the same time. It's like it's a bit of fun, and I see some people calling me a 50-year-old on Twitter and things like that, and I don't know, I think I get like a little bit of a kick out of it. It's a bit sadistic. It's funny to me. So
you're
you
not
know.
rewarding them by replying to them though, replying to the haters. I thought that's not what you meant to do.
Do you know what? Honestly, you can't take anything really personal because no one knows me. I don't know them. I'm sure 95% of people that are talking shit to each other would probably be mates in real life, or they've got nice characteristics that we would like about them. Or, it's nice to incite such passion within people, and they become really impassioned and passionate about the people they support and their views, and that's what kind of creates a buzz around things, is because if you had everyone unilaterally just having the same opinion, I don't think that it would cause a buzz, especially in the fight business. I think it's nice to have different opinions, and people just whiling out on social media, and it creates more engagement and more attention, essentially, to the product that you're trying to push. So it's a bit of fun. I mean, I definitely think if you don't have thick skin, you can't be very opinionated. And I've had thick skin. I've had to have thick skin for quite.
If you are active on Twitter, you've got a certain amount of followers on Twitter, and you've got to be thick skinned because otherwise you're just gonna, otherwise the prey will affect you. But what's the day of life for you now, Mams? What do you get up to each day? I guess it's not the same thing, is it? It's a completely different routine each day.
Yeah, I think in the business I'm in, you've got to learn to adapt to different situations. And there's always something that comes up that you didn't expect. So, you know, um, I have a pretty full diary most of the time, but a lot of the time I've got to move appointments around, as you know, and, it's just, you've got to learn to prioritize. And yeah, a lot of my day is, I'd say, it consists of being on the phone a lot. I mean, my hours on the phone are just, I'm embarrassed about it. And it's not,
What's your screen time?
I don't want to say, but it's all work related. So it's all
Yeah.
phone calls, it's Zoom meetings, it's texting, WhatsApps. Some days it's a bit overwhelming. I've got a great staff who handle a lot of things for me, so that's made things easier. But even so, it's like ding, 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 and sometimes I just take a breath and I'm like, I I have enough things that I enjoy this enough that the negative side of it doesn't overwhelm me too much. I'm really grateful for being able to do things that I love on the whole. And and that compensates for the stuff that you don't love to do as much, like reading through contracts and this and that. Some people enjoy different things, but I get to do that. So it's a lot of being on the phone, emails, supervising certain deals for other clients as well, and bits and pieces, just speaking to my clients generally as often as I can, as well. And then it's the creative side, which is the music stuff, which I love as well. I've got my own studio here, so I'm in the studio a lot. And I think that writing and and exec producing or giving my opinion on certain things or A&Ring certain projects, that's a really nice kind of segue, a getaway from the more business side of things. So I get to get my creative juices flowing as well. And then I make sure that I play an hour or two of sports every day, whether it's boxing or tennis or riding horses or any of that. And then I get to spend time with my animals, and I don't sleep that much. So that's pretty much my day every day, and on weekends as well, most of the time. So, but I will say, aside from all that, obviously, I have a daughter, and we're very, very close. So we speak as often as possible, and she's moving out here with me. So I'm really excited about that. So that's my number one priority, to make sure she knows her dad is always there. And then it's the business, I love it.
Wow, that sounds like quite an active day. It's no lazy days for you, Mams. But talk to me about, obviously got a number of clients. One of your most high profile clients is KSI. Now, does Liam Chivers still manage KSI? Or
no,
do you manage the music, or do you manage KSI and everything?
I manage KSI for everything.
Okay.
But Liam and I have a good relationship, and he's been helpful throughout the process of this event. I actually put on an MMA event in 2002 or 2001, maybe, years and years ago, with some partners, and it was a really fun, successful event overall. So I had a little experience, but I knew Liam had a lot more experience in the influencer boxing world, and he's been really kind to share some of that with me, and yeah, we've got a good relationship. So that's how I like it.
Yeah, Liam is the best, actually. He's helped me out quite a few different things beforehand. Yeah, Liam is a legend. But let's talk about, I spoke to Keemstar, and just about a few hours ago, on the interview Fujishu called, and he's saying for the Misfits boxing fight, obviously, for the full card, you've got a lot of Happy Punch Promotions fighters on there. Do you know when we'll see the full card be released?
The full card should be definitely released next week.
So, oh, wow, okay, not long.
I don't know when this is coming out, but yeah, next week. As far as probably, we're aiming for Monday, but that might be ambitious. Probably Tuesday.
Were you a bit annoyed when the Zone kind of leaked it?
I mean, we sorted it out. Things happened, so you can't be too annoyed. But obviously, it wasn't what was in the plan. So these things happen,
How many fights have you got on that card in total?
We got 7 really good fights.
Okay, 7 really good fights. And are they kind of 50-50 matchups?
In terms of, yeah, I don't. So, look, you can never predict what happens in a fight. You can never predict it. But ultimately, I think that my first thing is I want the fighters to be safe. I don't want to mismatch anyone and put someone in peril or, in danger of basically getting really hurt. That's not the point of this. It's about entertainment and fun. And also, even for the boxers, they get to focus on something really that betters you as a person. As someone who's trained a lot, I know the mentality it takes not to quit and to train really hard and to overcome obstacles mentally. And it's quite symbolic to other things that go on in your life. And the endorphin releases from this type of training, it betters them in terms of their health and their well-being and their mental as well. So I think everyone wins out of it. So for me, it would be, I don't want to really mismatch anyone where someone could potentially get really hurt.
That's fair enough. For boxing, there are a lot of mismatches. That's one thing maybe you guys could do correctly while not having so many mismatches and having more of the 50-50 fights, 60-40 fights, which at the end of the day is what everyone really wants to see. But what's it been like organising this event? Has it been a headache, or has it been a bit of both?
It's got its moments, but it's a lot of work, and it's been challenging at times. But listen, it's about the fans enjoying themselves, the boxers having a great experience, and us having the ultimate promotion in this space where everyone will want to fight here and know that they're going to get paid, know that they're safe, the security is on point, the professionalism is on a level where they can appreciate it and know that they're not gonna, they don't have to worry about the things that they'd have to worry about with other promotions. And I think it's a safe space to punch someone in the face. That's quite poetic, but yeah.
That's kind of ironic in a way. It's a safe space to get punched in the face. But just talk to, I guess Social Gloves are the guys who didn't pay them, and then the last motion, it left my head now, was where Deji's fight was Wassabi, and obviously the fan ran into the ring there because there's minimum security. Talking about the fights that are happening, how long is KSI's fight? How many rounds will that be? 8 rounds?
I don't think I can reveal that to you just yet.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair enough. No comment. That's what you got to say, Mams.
Yeah, no comment. Teach me.
those are the ways of the media, because media will run through things like that. And just one other thing, something interesting popped up on our mate's Instagram stories the other day, where you had the kind of influencer boxing divisions and world championships and belts. What can you tell me about that?
I don't know anything about what they're doing, but in terms of our belt, it's not restricted to influencers only. I mean, I suppose you could say they're influencers in one way or another, but I think that term kind of causes a separation. And then, like, when you talk about Liam Payne, for example, the word influencer doesn't immediately come to mind. You think of him as a boy band member from One Direction, right? So I don't like that term for what we're doing, but we do have Misfit championship belts that are being sanctioned, and I'm very excited about that. We're taking that quite seriously, and we're going to make sure that people get a chance to fight their way up the ranks, and essentially we'll get to a place where we'll order some fights for the number one contender, and same type of deal that you see in pro boxing every day.
So will there be a belt on the line for KSI versus Wassabi?
All shall be revealed very soon.
Honestly, next week sometime. And just one other thing I do want to get your thoughts on. There's a lot of people saying online that Alex Wassabi is an easy fight for KSI. What can you tell me about that? And why do you think that's incorrect?
Look, I think that Alex Wassabi is a dangerous fight for a couple of reasons. He's actually not bad. He's pretty decent. If you see him, he's got some fundamentals down, and he's got nothing to lose. So for him, he's training his balls off every day, and he wants this so badly because he knows, obviously, the opportunity and on what comes with a potential victory over JJ would be, that would make his career. So imagine having that much on the line. How hard is this kid training? How much does he want it? So I think people are underestimating Wassabi. I think he's better. He's a much better fighter than not a fighter, a better boxer than Ben Askren and the basketball guy that Jake fought, for example. I think he would wipe the floor with those guys in boxing.
The
Definitely
basketball guy. Not in basketball, but in boxing, yeah. The basketball guy.
Not in basketball, not in wrestling, but in boxing, he would wipe the floor with those guys. So look, am I saying I obviously I'm Team KSI, and I've got all the faith in the world with him fighting, any of his opponents, but there are some dangers associated with it, and I understand people will clown that because Wassabi had a moment of getting punched by Fusi and had a little bad turn of events there. But if they fought now, it would be interesting because I think Wasabi's really stepped up, and I give him credit. I think he's really done what he needs to do to prepare to become a better boxer. And at the same time, it is KSI's first fight back. So, when I asked KSI, who do you want to fight? Like, let's do this. We're ready to do this. He said, yes, let's do it. I'm super in the zone. I said, who do you want to fight? It's like, Jake Paul. I'm like, all right, wait, hang on. We'll get there. Let's do it right. So that we've got some catching up to do in terms of the hours and the time that Jake's put in. And I'd like KSI to catch up with that a little bit. Now, if they fought tomorrow, my money would still be on KSI, but I'd rather be more confident, more sure, and I wouldn't be doing my job if I was just like, okay, let's do it. I'd rather build the thing up. I'd rather both of them keep winning and keep building a story and have a super mega fight for all the fans at the end of it.
Do you think it helps a lot more with the fact that kind of KSI and Alex Wassabi be going back and forth for the last few years, and the fact that Alex Wassabi also beat his brother Deji?
Of course. I mean, that's legit. When we were speaking about it, and I said, JJ, all right, who else? He's like, well, Wassabi, I've always wanted to shut his mouth. He's a bit gobby and whatever. And I was like, okay, that makes sense, you know. And I know, again, I think fans are underestimating how hungry Alex is for this and how much he's training. So, you know, it's going to be an interesting, fun fight to watch.
Okay, yeah, it definitely will be. It definitely will be interesting. But obviously, there you were saying that KSI wanted to fight Jake Paul. How many fights do you think it will be from this Alex Wassabi fight until he steps in the ring of Jake Paul?
It's I mean, look, I think it's not too far off. I think we could see, as long as everything goes to plan for Jake, and there's a lot of factors, but I'd like to see this fight at some point towards the end of next year. So that's the goal.
So the end of 2023 is kind of your prediction when KSI and Jake Paul will happen.
I think it happens then. I mean, look, it's something that has to happen. It's a legacy fight for both of them. There's some genuine bad blood. They know that they need to settle this beef. I mean, if you see the fans going back and forth against each other all the time and blah, blah, blah. And I know obviously KSI has a much bigger fan base than Jake Paul, but he's, you know, there's a lot of people that really believe Jake wins that fight. And JJ and I are both about overcoming adversity and also taking on the odds, going against the odds and overcoming them, and just, you know, winning against all odds. And I think JJ loves when he's an underdog anyway, so he's thrive on that. I think it's going to be it'll be a record-breaking massive fight. I'm going to see to it that it is, you know, as much as I can. So
it's a fight that can't be missed by certainly any media, any fans. I definitely will be one of the most watched boxing fights of all time, KSI versus Jake Paul. But when I spoke to Keemstar today, he reckoned that all this kind of YouTuber, celebrity, I don't like the word influencer, but influencer boxing will last for a good 25 years. But do you think once KSI Jake Paul happens, it will die down a little bit?
No, I don't. I think we're in the infancy of this sector of the sport. I think that it's kind of becoming, it's going to morph into becoming its own sport, its own space where celebrities, athletes, influencers, YouTubers, TikTokers, they'll all have a place to fight. And I think that it's an interesting one because you might have a fighter, you might have an influencer who fights really well and is really entertaining, but his engagement on his platforms are medium or lower, or on the lower level. But people will pay tickets to watch that person fight. So it's a great opportunity for a lot of these guys to build their own currency in the fight world, because it really is kind of its own platform, if that makes any sense. Yes, of course, it helps to have fans on that are engaged in all other areas, but there are exceptions where people might not get massive engagement on TikTok or whatever, but you like, oh, that guy wants to fight. I'm interested in seeing him fight because he's entertaining and a great shit talker and so on. So I think people are getting their feet wet and they're learning how to navigate best and how to be successful on this platform, which will birth a load of other opportunities for them.
Okay, that's quite good. As media, that's what we like to hear. That's going to last a long time. But how would you judge, or how would you allow someone to compete in the kind of celebrity influencer boxing? Do they have to have a minimum of 100,000 Instagram followers, 100,000 YouTube subscribers? How would you allow them to do it? What would you work it off?
I don't think there's a set rule. It's got to make some sense. You know, if there's a genuine beef, if I see a lot of potential in that person, if they have 200 followers, then it's pointless. Then at the end of the day, we might as well just have everybody be a part of it, you know, like participating in the matches. We want them to have fans, but I'm also okay with developing a couple of guys who have some kind of fan base, but they need this to accelerate their careers, and they have the metal to back it up. You know, they can, if they're really great talkers, that's always gonna, whether people admit it or not, that's always gonna help sell fights. And then how entertaining are they in the ring? Are they action fighters? Are they going for it? Are they boring? Are they, so all of these factors you got to take into account. And of course, a lot of people have never fought before, and they're interested in dipping their toes into this space as well. So I think you just take everything under consideration and decide if it makes sense or not.
Obviously, with boxing, there's boxing shows on every other week nowadays in the UK. How often will we have kind of this celebrity boxing happening?
So we're calling it crossover boxing. We're we're aiming to have 8 events per annum. So
Yeah.
yeah, we've got a bunch of plans lined up already for October, November, and January. I can give you a little exclusive on that, but yeah, we've got some really cool plans for fights during those months, and then we'll continue from there.
Will these events be taking place in the UK or across lots of different countries?
Definitely in the UK, definitely in the US, and working on some other things as well, but definitely those 2 countries. Yeah.
So it'll be 4 and 4.
Pardon?
It'll be 4 in the UK, 4 in the US.
It'll be pretty even, and we'll alternate it. So both sets of fan bases have theirs, and look, expansion is always the goal. So who knows? Like I said, I'm working on a pretty cool fight in another country altogether, but opportunities that sort of shape up throughout the success of this we'll have to look at, but definitely want to make sure that the biggest fan bases for this right now in the space that we're in is the US and the UK. So we're going to have to accommodate that, and then we'll see how this expands and look beyond that when it's time to.
Okay, that's quite interesting. I better start saving then for a trip to the US. I've never been to America before, so it should be quite good. And just a few last points. I'll put a thing out on my YouTube community tab for questions to ask. I've got one question here, and they're saying, will it be pay-per-view? It will be pay-per-view for this KSI Alex Wassabi one, but will the rest of the Misfits sporting cards be pay-per-view?
It's going to be, some of them will be pay-per-view, some won't be. So that's the important thing. I think that they'll get those fights for free if they have subscribed to the DAZN app.
Okay, and will the broadcaster always be DAZN, or do you think at some point you look at having your own app?
You know what? Like, so far they've been great partners, and I'd like them to say the same about us. And I think JJ and myself and Wasserman are very loyal, and if I see us having a long future together with DAZN. They've treated us very well, so and they're really good at what they do. So you never know what the future holds, but at the end of the day, that's definitely the intention. That as long as we're all good partners to each other, then that's a ingredient for that's a recipe for a successful, fruitful, long-term relationship.
Okay, that's quite nice to hear. I did speak to Eddie Hearn today, and I asked him about obviously the crossover boxing. Now we got a good name for it, Mams. And he didn't give me a straight no. He was still a bit kind of lenient, so he still knows I guess he's still a little bit interested in that. Just one last question: after KSI versus Jake Paul happens, if KSI wins or loses, do you think he'll box after that?
I mean, that's something you'd have to ask him. I know that's an important fight to both of them. Whether in moments they'll admit it or not, it's an important fight. It's a legacy fight. But yeah, I don't know. It's if another interesting fight, if Conor McGregor comes along and KSI's beaten Jake Paul and he's like, let's do this fight. If it makes sense, JJ's motivated by it, he'll go for it. This is the thing about JJ. Money's one of the least important factors for him. Of course, we know his worth, so I've got to make sure he's taken care of and earns well. But honestly, he's just very much about his legacy, about providing fans with something that they love. So once in a while, I mean, I think fans know this about him, but he makes a difference in people's lives, and I think that means a lot to him in as many ways as he can. He's extremely generous. He's extremely giving. He's never, you know, as a manager, sometimes I put my business brain on. I'm like, bro, why don't you film that you're doing this? He's like, no, man, this is private. Like, I'm doing
That's
this to
nice.
do. I'm not doing this to, and I stopped asking because I got it, you know, and I get it, but I'm like, hey, but it's something people can see about you, and people might not know this about you. He's like, I don't care if they know it or not, but he does an insane amount for people, for his friends, for people who are very unfortunate or less fortunate, and charities and contributions that he gives. He's very active in that area. But I do respect the fact that, yeah, he doesn't publicize it. But here I am, I'll publicize it. It's just true. It's just true because you see a guy like that that's in person. He's very humble.
He
He's
is.
kind
I met KSI a couple of times at the events, and he's a really nice guy. And I met a lot of people. Been very lucky to, fortunate to meet a lot of kind of people who would participate in the CrossFit boxing. And you do get someone to kind of bigger egos, but KSI in reality should have the biggest ego. But he doesn't. He's just kind of that humble, grounded, and down to earth. But it's probably
yeah.
what makes him so good to work with.
No, he's honestly, like, I consider him family. I really, really, really think he's a special guy. He's like I said, he's got massive heart, and he's got a very pure heart. So I'm very lucky, and he's hardworking, and you know, he's very goal oriented, and it's a dream client, really. You know, we have a great synergy together, so it just works really well.
Awesome. Sounds pretty good then, man. So you'll be coming over to the UK when that fight happens then? I'll see you in the
Oh, of course you will. Of course you will. So we'll keep in touch and let me know what you need, and we'll have to get you a JJ interview and sneak
Oh
one in.
yeah. When do you think that can happen? Do you think we do it before fight week? Do you think? Because fight week would be crazy for him.
Let me not commit anything, but you've been on my radar for that anyway. So I think you do a really good job, and I'm really, I it sounds condescending to say, but I'm proud of you, man. Like, you've committed yourself to this, and you should be proud of yourself. It's really great. So keep it up.
Yeah, thanks, Mams. Yeah, a one-on-one into your care side, 10-minute one-on-one into your care side. That'll be like, okay, I completed life. That's me done.
We'll make it happen.
That's awesome. Mams, you're the man. Thanks so much for your time, mate. That's awesome.
Pleasure. Thank you, bro.